Good morning to all of you. Welcome to Legal Matters by Sai Babu Sunkara. This video is specially for the interpretation of statutes topic students. Already we have completed the introductory part also. That's why for your review or convenience purpose, I am making this video within a short span, maybe 5 or 6 minutes I want to complete. So first of all, you should know what is the interpretation. Then you should know the need for the interpretation. Then the objects of the interpretation. If these 3 points are known, definitely you will appreciate the subject interpretation of statutes. Right. Now, what is interpretation? Why interpretation is necessary? Friends, all of you know that legal language is definitely different from the ordinary language. And the Latin phrases, ubi jus ibi remedium, respondent superior, or qui facit per alium facit per se. All these things. Rex potest non pecare. So what do you mean all these things? Suppose if a layman is hearing these words, he doesn't understand anything. But you know, ubi jus ibi remedium means, yes, where there is a right, there is a way. Respondent superior, vicarious liability. Qui facit per alium, vicarious liability. Rex potest non pecare, king can do no wrong. So, if you don't understand these words, not only this, suppose if you go through any section of law, for example, I am reading some section, so 324 of the Indian Penal Code. Voluntarily causing hurt by dangerous weapons or means, simply yes, it is understandable. Whoever, except in the case provided for in section 334, voluntarily causes hurt by means of any instrument for shooting, stabbing or cutting, or any instrument which used as a weapon is likely to cause death, or by means of fire or any heated substance, or by means of any poison or any corrosive substance, or by means of any explosive substance, or by means of any substance which it is deleterious to the human body to inhale, to swallow, or to receive into the blood, or by means of any animal, shall be punished with imprisonment for a description for 3 years. So did you understand this? You have to divide it into so many lines, then only you will understand. It's very, very difficult to understand the sections of law. So therefore, definitely interpretation is 100% necessary. So please remember, John Salman, he said, the essence of law lies in the spirit. So we will be telling you, you have to do the act in the letter and spirit. The essence of law is lying in the spirit. Because, please remember, it doesn't lie in the letter. We can say so many things. The law can say so many things. But the spirit, the intention, it is, the law lies in the spirit, not in the letter. Because the letter is significant only when the spirit is actually manifesting in the intention. So there should be some spirit, then only the letter will come. This is held by the famous jurisprudent John Salman. Now you know we will know what is interpretation. Interpretation, it is the art of finding out the true sense of the enactment by giving the words their natural and ordinary meaning. So natural meaning, ordinary meaning, grammatical meaning, dictionary meaning. So all these things, if you put it together, then only you will be able to understand. This is what is called interpretation. Please know that interpretation is the main function of the court, particularly the High Court and Supreme Court. They interpret the law. Whenever the legislature makes any statute, legislature makes any act, whenever the legislature or the government gives any GO, then the court will interpret the same whether it is in consonance with the mother of all laws, that is constitutional law or not. So this is the main job of the court to interpret the law. No doubt, you can also interpret, but there are so many tools for interpreting. We will discuss them in some other class. Please remember, so interpretation is as old as language. I can say interpretation is dynamic. It's not static. It also changes according to the circumstances, according to the legal provisions. So this also you have to understand. So merely following the text of law, decisions are not to be rendered. Age-old decisions. Suppose before Keshavananda Bharati, but Article 368, anybody can, the legislature or the parliament can amend the constitution. But what happened after Keshavananda Bharati case? They said you can alter, you can amend the constitution, but the basic structure should not be disturbed. So this is the doctrine of prospective oral. You all know very much. This is what is called interpretation. Yesterday I have given the example of that case. Living in adultery and committing adultery. Suppose what is living in adultery? That means this man has he is in the habit of he has fled away with another woman. He is staying with her. But committing adultery, now and then he is visiting his fiance's house. That is committing. That is not an offense as per 125 CRPC. But living in adultery, yes, definitely it is an offense. If a woman who is given the so-called maintenance, if she is living in adultery, she is not entitled for that maintenance. That is the interpretation. So definitely interpretation is necessary. Why? Because now already I told you legal language is different from the ordinary language, and by general study of the words, by general study of the Bare Act, you may not be able to understand the essence or the inherent the mind of the makers of the legislation. Therefore, interpretation is 100% necessary. So what are the aids for interpretation? There are internal aids, there are external aids. We will discuss them separately. Please remember. So interpretation, it is the process of ascertaining the clear meaning of the words used in a statute. When the language is clear, of course, there is no necessity for this interpretation. As stated in RS Nayak versus AR Antulay case. So 1984. In this case, SC 634. Supreme Court clearly said, if the words of the statute are clear and unambiguous, if they are ambiguous, interpretation. If they are unambiguous, definitely, and it is the plainest duty of the court to give effect to the natural meaning of the words used in the provision. The question of construction arises only when the words are ambiguous and the plain meaning of the words is not understood. So therefore, if the words are clear, there is no necessity for the so-called interpretation. Same is the case with Grasim Industries versus Collector Customs of Bombay 2002, where the words are clear and there is no obscurity and there is no ambiguity and the intention of the legislature is clearly conveyed. If all these things are there, there is no scope for the court to look upon itself the task of amending or altering the statutory provisions, right? So for this purpose, there is every need to interpret the law, because we cannot understand. That's why while discussing the Hayden's case, that is mischief rule, I have already told you in some other topic, maybe in the jurisprudence, we'll discuss that in detail. Or Mote Puri Jamindari case, or Ramavtar versus their betel nuts, jaggery, all these cases we are going to discuss in the coming classes. So please understand that there is definitely necessity to understand the concept of the interpretation, and it is not a static one, it is a dynamic one. So finally I want to tell you, interpretation is for the statutes, not for the judgments, please remember. So you cannot interpret the judgments, you can just get the explanation for the judgments, that's all. You cannot interpret the judgments. So for a funny sake, I want to tell you, a judicial magistrate who has recently joined it happened about 10 years back, joined the service. On one occasion, she happened to hear the lecture given by the High Court, Chief Justice of the High Court. He came, he held some meeting with the judicial officers. In that meeting, he said that I have done like this according to provision, so on, so all these things. And in her judgment, she reflected that the Honorable Justice interpreted this like this in his speech. She has written, it's not correct. While interpreting, you have to take the aid, that is precedent, previous edition. You have to take the internal aids, or you have to take the external aids, like the dictionary, like the law commission reports, all these things. Then only the clear meaning will come. So this is the necessity, this is the meaning, and this is the requirement to study the law, the interpretation of the statutes. So with this, I am stopping. So we'll discuss in some other video, because time is getting short already. 10 minutes is going to be completed, right? Thank you very much.